Now, this bathroom itself isn't very large, as most guest bathrooms aren't. It does have a 30-inch vanity, and this is completely original material there, as you can see from the uh, kind of funky yellowish orange countertop and the old school knobs and doors. Uh, it's got the typical mirror. Of course, your lights up above, that's all getting changed. We are going to be replacing both exhaust fans in the bathroom. Now, the ceiling has already been uh, retaped in some areas and also replastered. I did a whole new ceiling throughout the whole house. Now, what's really funny about these walls here is this wall is already textured. So is the back wall there. However, the wall with the mirror on it has zero texture on it whatsoever. And the medicine cabinet, I don't know why they took that out in the first place, but we're going to put up a new medicine cabinet, change all the outlets, all the outlet plates, and then also we're going to get all new fixtures on the sink, and then of course the shower as well. Now the toilet isn't going to have to be replaced. This is a newer energy efficient toilet. It's the same in both this bathroom and the master bath. Now the actual mudding and taping of the cement fiberboard in the shower is pretty easy. Goes pretty quick too, and you don't have to be exact with it as you do regular drywall. The reason behind that is when we're done putting in the mud and the tape, we will sand it down again so it doesn't stick out as much as it currently is. But we're going to then mortar the whole entire cement fiberboard, which will be about a 1/4 inch thick. And then that will allow us to adhere the tile onto it. And so a lot of this that you're going to see is already, it's going to have additional mortar put on top versus your regular drywall, where the only thing going on top of that might be a texture, which might be, less than 1/8 of an inch thick. So I've got my waterproof mortar here and my trowel, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch up these. This is where the last contractor had already put some joint compound on the cement fiberboard, the seam for the regular drywall, and I'm just going to put some of this over that. Now, once that's done, then we get our fiber tape here. And again, this is a mesh style tape, as you can see up closely. This will allow the mortar or the compound to push through it. And then we're going to put the additional mortar over the top of that. Okay, so the tape has already been laid, and now we're just going to fill that over with this waterproof mortar. Now, one thing I also recommend doing is wherever there's a screw head, take that fiber tape, cut a square out. Before you place that onto the square head, put a little bit of mortar behind it, and then place that fiber tape square over the screw head itself. You know, the screw, essentially the reason why we're doing this is we're stopping water from getting onto the backside of this board. There's a lot of protection that's going to be between the water from the shower and the back of the board or the other side of the wall. But it's better to be safe than sorry. And any hole or any seam is an area where water could eventually get through. So mud it, put your tape over it, and then mud over it again. And again, my philosophy, it's okay to use a little bit more mud than you may think, because you're going to sand it down to a level that's acceptable for you and your job that you're doing. Now, one thing I did do is I made sure to leave the screw heads out of the areas that are screwed into the fiberboard. That way I'm going to also put that mesh fiber tape over that. I don't want to take the risk of this pushing through to a tile. Now, there are two screw heads right onto the seams. I'm not going to cover those up yet because we are going to do the corner seams, and then the whole tape will cover those up. Then we mud over that. Okay, so we're all done with the mudding and the tape. So we're just going to let this dry. I'm going to come back. I'm going to sand down all the outer edges, and then we're going to start mortaring and tiling. And then that should be a wrap for this bathroom shower. And then we'll move on to the vanity, and then the medicine cabinet, the mirror, the fixtures, and then of course the exhaust fan. And then we're going to get a little texture on this wall as well. So the mortar is all dried around the edges. We did this yesterday, and now we're coming back and we're tiling over the cement fiberboard with the mold block technology, the waterproof boarding there. And I went ahead and I chose a 6x6 square, the master bathroom. I'm not going to retile that, and that's a 4x4 square. So I wanted them to be kind of uniform between both bathrooms. But you know, tiling is actually very easy, and it's just time consuming more than anything. You will need a couple things when you are tiling. One, I use a stainless steel trough, and then I also use a square edged trowel that is, you know, you can see these are cut, you know, with the little grooves in them. You want the grooves when you're moving the mortar to place the tile. The back of these tiles, they're actually grooved themselves. So if you've ever taken pottery class in high school, or you know, a middle school or whatever, maybe you've just taken pottery, you know, as a hobby, but you know, when you're taking two pieces of clay and adhering them together, you need it to be scored. You need that friction in order to create a strong bond. So that's essentially the philosophy behind laying tile. Now, I'm completely self-taught with tile, but one thing I was told probably 10 years ago, maybe even longer than that, was when I was first taking on my first tiling project, it was somebody gave me some really good advice, and that is start in one corner. And what you want to do is on the bottom, you start in one corner, put your spacers. I use the old fashioned. I know there's a lot of different high technology of tile spacers. I use the old fashioned tile spacers here. And it's what I know, it's what I use. And they're relatively, you get, 500 in this bag, and it's less expensive than the other ones. And when we're done with them, I'll probably just put them back in the bag and save them for the next tile project. But when you lay your tile, I always, say start with the corner that the eye is going to meet more. That way, when they walk into the bathroom, versus the corner where is more inconspicuous. Because your cuts and everything, when you cut the tile, you always, like, I would rather see the cut portion of tile in the corner that's not going to catch the eye when you first walk into the bathroom. So I take those spacers, I lay them along the bottom here, and then I put my one tile down, and I level it, and then I put the tile on the other wall to where they meet together here at this triangle. And then I work out from that period. I work out and then I work up. Now, over the nozzles here for your faucet, your water regulator, and then your shower head, I used a really strong round style drill bit that's hollow, and I just measured it out just based off of how this tile laid, where I created the holes for the cement fiberboard, and then I just drilled right through that. Now I do have a tile saw, and I'll show that to you here in a minute. And I don't have a heavy duty saw, but it is a wet saw. I got this saw probably 10, 15 years ago, and it's great. It was very inexpensive. The saw blade, the tile saw blade, is like a diamond tipped saw blade, and it just works beautiful, and it does the jobs that I needed to do. I could do floors, I could do showers, bathrooms, anywhere I need tile, then this saw will do the job. Now, there's a couple different ways you can lay down the mortar. If you are quick with tile, you can always take the mortar, put it on your notch trowel, put that trowel on the bottom, rest it on the bottom of the tile, and then move it up like this, and then lay your tile. And then you take the tile and then you just press it on there. Take your spacers. Make sure that just like this, just put those spacers in. Press on the side so it gets it all snug. And then do the same on the bottom as well. So take that spacer, put it right in, and then press down on it, and do the other side as well. And now that is all going to remain level. Your lines are going to remain straight, both up and down and side to side. And then when you go into grout, you're just going to fill it in and use your sponge. Now, the other way you could put the mortar on there is by taking your notch trowel, taking another piece of tile, and then just going down like this on each tile specifically. Now, I'm a little slower at tile work. I know people who do this every day of their life, as with their career, they can move extremely fast. But myself, I'm really worried about my rate of speed, how I move, being that, I don't do this every day. And having this mortar dry on the wall, and that all that's going to do is create more gapping or spaces between the tile when I go to lay that next tile down. So with that, I just put it in the corner there, just like that. Put my spacers in. And then I'll come back and I'll do the other side. So the two different ways you could lay that mortar. And again, you can go use it the long way if you're moving really fast. You can fill in the back of the tile. Now this way is obviously it's going to take a little bit longer by doing it that way. But again, if you're not a fast mover, then maybe this is best for you. Sometimes they pop out just like that. That will happen when you lift one side up. If you aren't a fast mover with the tile, and this is you're not doing this again every day, and maybe it's a once in every 10-year project, or once in a while that you're going to do this. You could take a flat trowel and just putty knife or whatever, and then remove all the excess to keep that mortar from drying until you are prepared to lay your next piece of tile. Just a little homeowner's trick there, do-it-yourself trick. All right, so I got to the point where I needed to cut some tile. I've got one tile that is an end piece for the corner, and the other piece of tile that I got was for where the water faucet is going to come out of. Now I have my measurements all laid out here, and what I did is I had taken the measurements and I had made little X's coming in and going up from where I needed it. And so I'm just going to take my speed square here and I'm going to put them, line them up and create an X in the middle of that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my carbide tipped hole saw bit here, and I'm going to put this drill bit exactly on the X, and I'm just going to drill down, and as long as I keep the drill straight, it will create a nice hole. Now, one thing you want to do also is you want to make sure that if you're not using a clamp on this, that you hold it really tight in place, because once these teeth hit the tile, it will cause the tile to move. And if you're not holding on tightly, then it could, cause damage or break the tile. There. Now we have a nice hole. This should work out just perfectly. Next, we're going to use the wet saw here, the wet tile saw. I got it at the hardware store. It was relatively cheap at that time. I think it was like 120 bucks. In today's world, it's probably going to be closer to 200. But you put the water in this side of it, and it does have this guide here, which is really nice, and you can move it side to side. Now let's go ahead and cut the tile. The measurements have already been made. I'm going to turn the saw on here. Great, now let's go install this tile. And it looks great. We'll get our spacers in there. measure it, make sure it's all level here. And it is. Now we'll do the other side. Perfect. All right, so taking a close look at it here, this is a black penny tile inlay in between the 6x6 white tile and the 2x6 bold nose, which is the end cap right here. Now, that single strand of penny tile, the black penny tile that I got there, all I did was I took essentially a 12x12 sheet, and I just cut the strips out to lay them in there singly, and it turned out pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed. Now the tub, I am going to refinish this tub when I'm done with it. And the next step is to go ahead and grout it, which I'll tackle that on the next step here. But I was going to end here with this tile and just put the bold nose end cap on it, but it just looked too white to me. And with the walls that are going to be an off shade white, and I thought that adding a little bit more to it would tie everything perfectly, especially the black trim up here. And we'll take a closer look at that. But all my faucets and fixtures are all going to be that black or really dark bronze style. So this will tie everything in just perfectly. All right, so today we are grouting all the tile that we laid yesterday. And this is actually a pretty simple job. It can be pretty messy. There are a couple things you're going to need or want to have handy before you get going with this. There are a couple different types of grout you can buy. And in today's market, they offer grout in all different kinds of colors. I'm going to paint the walls a white with a gray tone to it, a really light gray tone to it. And then also I'm going to replace this 1980s vanity with a new modern vanity, which is gray in color with a white countertop. I also chose to go with a light gray grout. And you can get your grout in either a powder form that you mix yourself or a pre-mixed bucket. Me personally, it's all personal preference. I like the pre-mixed stuff. It's already mixed to the consistency it should be mixed to. I don't have to worry about it adding more water to the packet or less water or mixing up the formula. It's only about $10 more for the bucket, and this whole bucket will grout the whole entire shower stall here. So the next thing you want to do that I find very handy is getting yourself a set of plastic trowels or putty knives, if you will. And the plastic you won't be in jeopardy of scratching the tile when you're putting your grout on. The next thing you're going to want to get is a really nice big sponge. A sponge and a bucket of water. Warm water preferably. I changed the water out every couple feet as I'm moving, just so it stays warm for me. But once you have all that, then putting your grout on is really simple. So I've already gone ahead and done these two walls here. I'm working on the faucet side wall. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plastic putty knife, or trowel, if you will. I'm going to put a bead of grout on it like this. Now you can go really crazy, and I guess if you're using the powder that may be a little cheaper, you know, a lot of people, I've seen people grout and put really heavy grout on there, and then they'll go ahead and just spend, you know, and wait for it all to dry, then go ahead and wipe it off with the sponge. Because of the grout lines and everything in there, what I've done is, if you see that bead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to press it right up to a grout, ungrouted tile joint there, and I'm just going to press that in and pull it down. And then I just move on to the next one. I also kind of just take some of this this smaller putty knife and just make a kind of a finer line or bead, if you will. That way I'm not wasting the grout. I'll press it in. I might do that twice just to make sure it gets all filled in there. And I do it just like that. Now the pre-mixed bucket here of grout, it does dry fairly quickly, and but the nice thing with grout is once it does dry, you don't have to apply much pressure with the sponge in order to remove all the excess grout from that sticking onto the tile. It's always a good idea too, and I should have mentioned this earlier when we were laying the thin set, is that you know, I'm going to refinish this. This tub is all getting refinished, and so I'm not too worried about it. However, it is a pain when grout and thin set hits the tub or the shower pan. Especially the thin set. The thin set is very difficult to get off. In fact, I do use plastic, and I scraped it all off of what thin set hit the edge of the tiles. But when I was putting the mortar or the thin set down while I was placing the tiles, in the bottom of the shower, I had a drop cloth in there, if you will, a plastic tarp, so I wouldn't have to do too much scraping. But again, if you're not going to be refinishing your tub or your shower pan, make sure the whole entire shower pan or tub is covered with a plastic drop cloth, or, you know, a drop cloth, a material, you know, a canvas tarp that you don't really care about, because it is a bear to get off. So as you can see, this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, and it's really easy to do. You know, when people are starting, especially you know, homeowners, if you're doing it yourself, these things can be very, very you know, overwhelming, if you will, a little bit. You know, because you know you're definitely not a professional. Maybe it's your first time, you know, tiling or, you know, doing home improvement projects. But if you're kind of handy already, man, I really wouldn't, you know, give much thought to messing it up too bad, because you can always, you know, go back and correct little mistakes. Now, a big mistake with tiling is not keeping your tiles level as you're laying them down. So earlier I had mentioned that if you level the first row along the base of your shower pan or your tub. Uh, you could spot check the leveling as you go up, and that's true. But something to also another thing to keep in mind too is, even the most perfect circle isn't perfect, right? And walls and 2x4s and all those things, that even though they look straight, when everything goes on, the skim coat of plaster goes up over that wall, and even though the wall is plumb or level, straight, there's still going to be differences in the way the wall goes up a little bit. This house, one thing I've noticed from doing a lot of this work is this particular house, I've had to correct a lot of the stuff that the builders didn't even do a good job on. And even when you're buying a new new construction home, it's really important to have your home inspector go through that house with a fine-tooth comb, because even in new construction, you can find sometimes as many, if not more, problems with the house than a pre-owned home. And this house, I was even talking to one of the neighbors here, and they said, yeah, they've lived here since the neighborhood was brand new in the early 80s, and they had one of the first houses ever built. And they said, yeah, we've had to just keep going through the house and, correcting issues that we have found for, years. So when they, throw up these subdivisions quickly, and it's even more common in today's world, I think, than it was back in the day, of trying to be as efficient as possible and get through and build these houses as quickly as possible, because time is money, and I don't fault that. But hey, look, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in today's market on a house. Now, when this house was brand new, my only guess was this house was probably $65,000, right? Now today, a house in this neighborhood that is in excellent condition is going to bring right around 200 to 225, depending on how many bedrooms. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So when this renovation is all done, it should bring 225, and that's what all the comps are looking at. And I keep watching those comps consistently to make sure that I'm not missing the mark or way off base when I go to list this house. But it seems pretty consistent. And 225 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, in my opinion, is pretty inexpensive. So new construction homes are start in a smaller square footage and less bedrooms that are right around here. They're starting from the mid to high 200s, and I'm guessing, as most new construction homes, you're not going to get all the nice fixtures. You're not going to get, all the niceties that you really would want to get in a new home. A lot of that stuff with new home construction is sold a la carte. So you go in, you're really buying a basic bare bones house for that starting price, and then you add the fixtures, you add the countertops, you add certain things that you want to that house, which ultimately raises the price of the home. So when you see those signs that say starting at, and that's not your final price, right? Yeah, because when it's all said and done, you may be spending another $50,000 to $100,000 to get the house exactly how you want it. Maybe not quite that much, but I don't think I'm very far off with that estimate. So back to what I was saying about the there's no perfect circle, is that's the same with houses and walls. And one thing I noticed, these walls kind of went out a little bit from the base of the shower tub and kind of expanded out as much as, I think it was something like almost a half of an inch on each side. So, You know, that tells you right there. And so there was areas where I had to, you know, cut and widen the grout lines a little bit, but having a good level and spot checking the tile as you go up will make all the difference. There's nothing worse than, you know, laying all the tile and then standing back and looking at it and then noticing that, hey, you know, I made a mistake and these tiles aren't level like I thought they were. So as the old saying goes, measure twice, cut once, and you'll never go wrong. The difference in price between this little 1 gallon pre-mixed bucket of grout versus, like, say, the mortar or the thin set is that, you know, they're all about $45. This was about $45 for this little tub, if I remember correctly. Now, this, what it's sitting on is joint compound, and that's not what you use on the tile. But the same 4.5 gallon bucket of mortar was also about $50. So there's a big difference in price between the grout and the thin set. So I want to be careful and make sure that this one bucket does actually do the whole entire shower. And it would be nice to have a little bit left over because I'm going to have to regrout some tile that I'm not going to replace in the master bathroom. So we're going to keep moving along here, and in a minute you'll see how it all looks when it's finished. Well, that does it for the shower. So, hey, look, this video is a 2-part bathroom remodel series, and I really do appreciate you watching. And if you found any value in this video, there's nothing better you could do for a video creator than to like and the video and subscribe to the channel. Boy, it's simple, it's free, and it means the world to video people. Well, hey, thanks again. We'll see you on part 2.